Hello, my name is Noemi Garcia from In the Land of Crochet. And today I'm going to demonstrate some of my 5 tips for creating the perfect foundation chain for your crochet project. So first we'll start off with making our slip knot. The very first tip is take it slow and easy. With this one right here, what you want to do is make sure that as you're stitching your foundation chains that you're not speeding through them. So go ahead and yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, just rhythmic, no need to race through them. If you race through them, you run the risk of having your chains be different sizes. So for example, it's an example of me trying to pull fast. You'll notice some of these stitches are bigger, some of them are smaller, they're uneven and creates a not very pretty project once you get started. The next tip is use the right tools. For this type of yarn, for this size, I am using a size H hook, which is a very ideal size for this size width thickness of the yarn. I'm not going to, for example, try to use a hook that is too big. If I have a thread that's too thin and the hook is too big, it makes it so that my foundation chains are too big and too loose. So what ends up happening is because these stitches are so open, there's going to be no structure to your project, and we don't want that. The other thing is we don't want to use a needle that is too small for a yarn that is too thick. So using same type of yarn, just changing the hook size, I'm now moving to a 1.9 milliliter hook. And so you see right here that hook is really small and this yarn is too thick. It's going to make it near impossible, to get that chain through. Even if I do manage to get those chains through, they're too tiny. It's going to make it too hard to get those rest of the stitches in as I start building up the rest of my rows. So my next tip is to start big. With this tip, if your project calls for a size for a size H, what you can do is start off your foundation chain using the next needle up. So the next needle from from an H would be an I. So you're going to make your foundation chains with the bigger one. I'll do 7 of them just for fun. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Once you're done with your foundation chains, tuck that one out, move to the smaller one, and continue from there. The reason for it is because typically we make our foundation chains smaller than we do our rest of our stitches. So by using the larger hook in the beginning, we're helping to compensate for this fact of crochet. The next tip, the fourth one, is to be consistent. So what I mean by that is, as you're looking at your foundation chain, if you look at it this way, you'll notice that these stitches form kind of like a V. They look a little bit like a braid. So as you turn your work over and you're starting to come back and form the foundation row, you can either use one thread, and that means you'll just be going right here, or you'll be using 2 threads, which means you'll be going right into that nook of the V. Let me try. Right into that nook of the V, and you'll notice there are the 2 threads right there. If you use 1 thread in one, 2 thread in the next, 2 thread, and you're not consistent, you run the risk of skipping some steps. I prefer to use the back of the stitch. This is known as a bump or the spine. I think it creates a much better look to your finished project. And the final tip is nip it in the bud. So what I mean by this is, as you are forming your foundation chain, if you don't feel that it looks well, or maybe it's a little bit funky, the stitches aren't even, it's better just go ahead and rip those stitches in the beginning, then just kind of think that it'll work itself out later on in the project. I've done enough projects to tell you that that is not going to be the case, and it's better to start, go back and rip it earlier instead of being 3 or 4 or 5 rows in and have that much of your work that you need to go back on. So these are my 5 tips for creating a good foundation chain. Hope you like them. Leave comments and make sure to share on Twitter. Thank you.